evidently, they didn't really think of that, I guess. I mean, you're talking. Let's put it in perspective here. Keene, New Hampshire has about 23,000 people, 24,000 people. So that is twice the size of the small town or small city of Keene, New Hampshire, leaving Puerto Rico every year. I mean, that's 2 Keene, New Hampshires. I don't know of any any state that would, be losing 50,000 people a year over an extended period of time would find itself in a world of hurt. So you've got to, you've got to be able to look at what you're doing. Well, they're big government spending. But you've got to be able to look at what you're doing and say, well, but see, these big spenders just won't let go. They won't let go. They simply, they believe that all that money's theirs anyway. They just won't let go. And they really need to let go of it. They need to start cutting back on services and the size of government. Now, Jeb Bush, he's saying that he supports Chapter 9 for Puerto Rico, Chapter 9 of the Bankruptcy Code, in the face of massive debt. Now, when Bush visited Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory, on a campaign stop back in April, he told a crowd that the public agencies in Puerto Rico should be able to seek bankruptcy under Chapter 9. Now, Pedro Pierluisi, who is the island's non-voting member of Congress, has offered a bill in Congress that would allow Puerto Rico the ability to use Chapter 9 to restructure its debt as other states are able to do. Now, while a state can't file for bankruptcy, municipalities and public agencies can. Now, Puerto Rico should be given the same rights as the states, but said that he also supports allowing Puerto Rico the right to pursue statehood, saying that he thinks it's the best path. Now, Puerto Rico is currently facing $72 billion in debts, which Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla says is not payable. So, you have Jeb Bush, who is out there saying that, well, maybe they should be allowed to utilize Chapter 9. I say no. I say you make these big government, big liberal, spending government officials, I say you make them face the people and you make them pay. Rod, that's only going to hurt the public and that's going to hurt the people. Yeah. Because you know what? They're the ones that also voted for it. If you voted for it in Detroit, well, guess what? You got what you voted for. So if you voted for these idiots in Puerto Rico, you got what you voted for. So, yeah, in a way, you deserve it. Suck it up and take it. Other than that, you might as well. The only problem with 48,000 people per year leaving the island is that, if they're liberal, they're exporting all that liberalism to places that they're going to. And I think that we should, round them all. This is probably going to get me in trouble. But we should round up all the Puerto Ricans, say, go back to Puerto Rico and fix your mess. Fix it. Fix it. I mean, after all, you created. Do you want the white man to come down there and fix it for you? I mean, we know how white supremacy is an issue. You can't do that, because then whites will think they're superior and all that kind of stuff, and you don't want that. So Puerto Ricans, Boricua, go back to Puerto Rico and fix your mess. Now, if you voted for these idiots, you definitely should go back and fix the mess. And if you didn't vote for it, well, maybe you could probably stay where you are. Because you didn't contribute to the problem if you didn't vote for the people that are causing the problem. It's just like Detroit. And people that live there now in Detroit, they're complaining. All those who voted for this big government spending in Detroit are finding it a very hard way of life in Detroit now, and some of them can't leave because they can't afford to, but they're the ones that ask for this by voting for all these big government advocates, and they get into office and start instituting all this big government, big spending type of thing, and they got in trouble, and now the city's in shambles. Well, this is the same thing that's going to happen to the entire island of Puerto Rico. This is also affecting the tourist trade. Tourists don't want to go there now. I understand that Puerto Rico's tourist trade is way down, and that's not necessarily because of the economy in the United States, although that has a little bit to do with it. But think about it: you do not need a passport to go to Caribbean island. And from what I understand, Puerto Rico is absolutely beautiful. But it's in full despair. And it's in despair because of government overspending, government overreach, just government. And I know some people are probably saying, well, you got to have some government, Rod. You got to have some. Yeah, you need to have a little bit of government. That is true. If you're going to have a modern society or society of any kind, there has to be a little bit of law and order. That is absolutely true. But you do not need $72 billion worth of law and order. You just don't. There's no way you can possibly convince me that you do. That would be ludicrous. Luda! Not the rapper. For those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Rio Linda, Ludacris is also a successful rap artist, if you will. Hip-hop artist. And sometimes he just shortens it and says Luda. If you ever listen to any of his songs, he'll just say Luda! But that's his stage name, is Ludacris. Some people are actually, I don't listen to a lot of hip hop. But I gotta admit, there's some stuff by Ludacris I have liked. There's some stuff by 50 Cent that I have liked. Now I can't really say that there is anything from Kanye West that I like. I know a lot of people consider him to be a musical genius. I'm just not feeling it. But, 50 Cent, I like some of 50 Cent stuff. I know some of it's a little bit vulgar, but some of it's not so bad. And I know he's been trying to get into acting and producing and things like that now, so he's not making a lot of music, per se, for himself. But, it was okay back in, the turn of the century, if you will. He had a couple of mega hits. Back in the day, I guess you could say. And he's been around for a little while now. But other rappers, I'm just, Eminem was just an angry young man. And if you notice, a lot of his stuff today is a lot different from what it was back then because he's lost a lot of his anger, thankfully. He's come to terms and to grips with who he is, what his past was like, and all that kind of stuff. So thankfully that there's a lot less anger in that man now because he's not so young anymore. Have you seen his daughter, Haley? She grew up to be a very beautiful young woman. She's 18, 19 now or something like that. She's very pretty. I don't know how old she is. And she might not even be legal, 18, but she was doing some modeling. And I think that's where I saw some pictures because everybody was talking about, Haley Mathers, which is Eminem's daughter. And she's modeling, so I assumed that she was at least 18 or 19, and that she may not be, but she's, very pretty. But I've never really been a huge Eminem fan. I know there are a lot of people that are Eminem fans. I'm not. But Eminem, he hails from I guess the 8 Mile section of Detroit or around Detroit, and Detroit is just not. He's I don't know. Maybe if they had Eminem in office, he would have wrapped their way out of all this mess that they're currently in, and they wouldn't have had to file bankruptcy. Why not? You have all these wonderful, rich, liberal people. Why don't they put in their they believe in the system so much and high taxes so much. Why don't they, put in their hard-earned money to save places like this, because Eminem is worth a lot of money. They always talk about CEOs' salaries. These guys make $1 bazillion every year, just entertaining us, selling us records. And oftentimes it's subpar music, at least in my opinion. I mean, I am definitely... There are people... Well, it's not just rappers. There are, musicians that have made a lot of money that I'm just not fans of. Like Nicki Minaj, not a fan of hers. Rihanna, not a fan of hers. I know a lot of people like them. And they've made a lot... Well, Nicki Minaj and Rihanna, they're from Barbados, I think, right? They're not American. No, I don't think they're American citizens. I think they're still from, I don't know, somewhere in the Caribbean. Is it Barbados? I think I'm not sure. I don't follow them that closely. I couldn't tell you. But there are other American actors and singers that are worth $1 bazillion. But yeah, I don't see them out there, offering their wonderful wealth to help their local communities or their state or their federal government get out of debt. They always talk about, well, the rich, these CEOs make so much money. I mean, really? You go to work for, 1 or 2 months out of the year, and you make $30 million a picture, and many of you who make, in the stratosphere, 10, 20, $30 million a picture, you're also getting a portion or a percentage of the box office receipts. I mean, like, what was it for Pirates of the Caribbean? Johnny Depp made, by the time it was all said and done, almost $100 million, like $80 million on top of his salary. So he cleared like $100 million. I think that was the number. No, he cleared almost $100 million on movies. So, well, yeah. Look, that's a lot of. When a CEO makes $30 million, we hear about this, how bad it is, how disproportionate. What about the workers? Well, what about all those people that help make a movie? Have you seen the credits at the end of a movie, how long that list of credits is? Why don't they share their wealth with all those people working on that movie? Most of them are not getting the big bucks. They're just not. The stars are getting all the money, and the producer and the directors now. Directors are getting huge paychecks. I mean, this is it's redonkulous. How can you say that you're against CEO pay when you're talking? Well, you know what a CEO is in a movie? Is a producer and a director. I mean, those guys run the show. And they're making all this kind of money. Then the actors are, they're like board people. They're making all this, people on the board. They're making all this kind of money. And $20, $30 million. Well, how about giving some of that back then to your workers below you that help make the movie what it is? Because without them, you wouldn't have a movie.